Welcome everyone to this video where I will show you how to actually have a server. You see it already running on the virtual machine here. But first of all, let's start out. This is because I don't use VirtualBox, but I kind of want to show it from the perspective of using VirtualBox because it's kind of like potato from Proxmox and whatnot, even though it's way different. But first of all, good rule of thumb, disable USB, that's always a thing. Make sure it has network and it's bridged to your network. Make sure it's network's allowed, and then you're good to go and start. And then we jump over here. When it's already starting, it's a good idea to then start run this.sh. You do this, install .sh. I don't have this script on right now, but what it will do is just run all the git pull commands and pull all the stuff from the source repo and then get you ready and set to go. It will also do a you can actually choose between like doing without swap and with swap, but it automatically does a swap partition. But then when you're good to go, you'll have all the stuff you need. A good thing to make sure, if you want to change something real quick, I did that wrong. Let's say you want to change the name and password, for example, you do it there or here. Let's say you also want to change the branch, like if you want to have your own branch or something, you can also change it here. But main thing is, let's say you want a new cluster name, you change it there too. A new thing you then want to do is open Terminator. It will have automatically run everything. We would already have been running like all the compiles. But a good thing is, let's say you actually already have had a change in your DSRC. Like let's say you want like the towns to have population min max on 4, which I run with usually. You would want to do a compile, and then you would run through a big compile, either that or compile underscore tab, which only takes the tab files, or TPF if it's an object you made, or SRC if it's an engine change you made. Small things that can kind of like hurt you in the run if you forget to do it. But this is how you actually get it up and running with networks and whatnot already pre-done. I'm gonna show you how to actually set up the network as intended, and then we'll see how it actually is done. Now it's running through the database updates and almost done with that. A real good thing also to keep in mind is have a lot of core strength and memory, so you have a lot of bandwidth. Right here I'm running with 28 gigs and 11 cores. And this one is a Ryzen R5 2600, not X, so it's an older version. But let's show how to do the network. We go into YAST, password is SWG. Make sure we choose the right thing right here. Network settings. Always run static IP addresses, don't use DCHP. Make sure everything is as you want it to be. I use /24 subnet. Make sure your name servers are correct as the main DNS, IPv4 DNS. Also at gateway, use the IPv4 DNS subnet there. The way you actually see it is pretty easy too. If let's say you're already connected to the network you're doing it on, it's here where you find it. This is my IP address locally, and then you have the subnet DNS server. So you should be good to go. Make sure you also have the the IP address you actually choose is free, so make sure of that, or else you would see there's like no up and down bandwidth on the on Conky here. But yeah, you have the server running right now, and you're ready to do ANT start or ANT do the station chat if it's a live server you're running. If you don't have station chat on, station chat is TTS or TT system, tel, and mailing system, and broadcast through the different planets. So it's vital to do if you want to run a server with population. A thing you also want to look into is if you want to change the name of the server or the client, or no, not the client, the cluster. Sorry, it's right here. It's also in default. It's client cluster or a cluster name here. Change that to whatever you want, and then remember you have to do it in the database too. So I will show that in a second. But also, if you only want like the ground portion of the stuff enabled, you can hashtag all this out or just remove it. But let's say we change the name at cluster name, and then we were like, yeah, we need to do it in the database too, because either that or the stuff wouldn't start. Then we go to the Oracle SQL developer, which is like the backhand of everything of your database, because everything is database driven in this game. It was relied on Oracle SQL, not MySQL or SQL. It's Oracle SQL Plus. Kind of the same deal, just a bit more hardcore. So we'll wait on the initialization here. Then we will show how to change the cluster and what it actually says when the cluster name is changed. So we will wait a second. Let's just free some space here. Probably acting up. So yeah. Yeah, I think she did. She did. Let's try to start one more up. And there we go. Then we go to SWG, not SWG system user, which is just a thing where it has locking, I'm pretty sure. I've never really used it. And then we go to cluster list. This is where the name, the amount of people, ID, tribe, whatever, a number of characters made, and our IP address, which is the ISP IP we need, or your local, let's say if it's just a local server you want to make. So let's say we call this a super server. Now our server can start. Need to compile. Our server can't start because it doesn't have the cluster name attached to it, because it's still attached to SWG. So this is why it says like, okay, it wasn't on the list. So we will backtrack, make our name SWG again, and we will be good. So make sure you write the correct name at cluster name if you want to change it, because it's going to depend on a lot. It's all your data. It's not going the right way if it's on the wrong name. So let's say you have two clusters. You can actually have more than one ID. So let's say you have ID 2 here to be another server name. So you can actually, like, let's say I want to save all my data for my live server from 2023 here. I can actually do that. But anywho, we have our server running. We have the IP address. We know for a fact where the port is open. Let me just show how to do that. First of all, we will go to what's my IP address. Make sure we know it. My IP address is right there, and I'm not located there. Fun fact. And we will go to our main IP address. This is the subnet. That's not the username admin. I was about to log in like Star Wars Galaxies. And we'll go to our router settings here. It's usually under advanced. Mostly, sometimes I know for other systems it's under like network and whatnot. But what we're gonna need to do is a net port forwarding. So we go to port forwarding triggers or triggering. Then we see our external port starts at 4K and ends at 6.5K or 65K. Sorry, and also on the initial start port over there. So I kind of use like a longer range between them. You can actually short them. This is also because I've been testing the CSR port, so I've just had a wider width of ports opened. But make sure you only like open the ports you need to, or else it's gonna be a catastrophic like failure of entry point for people. So make sure you open the right ports and on the right initial IP address, which is this one. So now we know our IP address is open, and we can actually test out our server because now it's running. And we didn't need to open so many folders. Let me see. And here we go. And it's gonna be loud. And we see the IP is open. So yeah, we're good. And that's how you actually see like everything's good. You connect it, you can actually connect. Because the cluster is listening to the correct ISP IP address, which the server is running on. Now because of the database. The database is the connection server. So in other terms, if there's no connection to the database, you're screwed. And how to check that? That's via the client. Check if the ISP IP is reachable, and if not, it supports port failure. So make sure you have your port correct, internet settings correct as shown where we asked, and you should be good to go on your adventures of Star Wars Galaxy developing. And make sure to follow, like, and look on Twitch, where I will live stream also stuff I do with modding and like also creating new mechanics for Star Wars Galaxies, which I like doing on live. So make sure to follow there too, and hopefully I will show more videos how to set up a server and a cluster and whatnot. So thank you for watching, and have a good one.